In my past life, I discovered I had won a $600 million lottery while out shopping with my best friend. Overjoyed, I immediately told her the news. Little did I know, she would conspire with her boyfriend to steal my winning ticket. To cover their tracks, they later pushed me off a high-rise building. Filled with regret, I only realized their affair at the moment of my death. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day of the lottery win. "What's going on, Jessica? You look so excited, did something good happen? Can you tell me about it?" When I realized I had been reborn, I was face to face with my best friend's eager, expectant, yet cunning expression. In my past life, this woman had conspired with my boyfriend Brandon to steal my lottery ticket. Not only that, they had been cheating behind my back for over a year. After striking it rich overnight, to cover their tracks, they lured me in and pushed me off a high-rise building. Perhaps even the heavens took pity on my miserable life and gave me a chance to turn things around. I quietly turned off my phone. When Vanessa eagerly leaned in only to see a blank, black screen, her brows slightly furrowed. "Jessica, what happened earlier? Can't you share anything exciting with me?" Suppressing the urge to push her into oncoming traffic, I forced a fake smile. "How could I not? You're my best friend, we share everything with each other." Vanessa nodded urgently and said, "Exactly. We're best friends. So Jessica, tell me quickly, what did you see earlier? Did you win the lottery?" She seemed to suddenly realize she was being too intense and tried to explain. "It's just that I've been watching you analyze lottery numbers so diligently lately. And with your family's recent hardships, I really hope you win so life can be easier for you. In my past life, my father broke his leg at a construction site, and my mother was in a car accident while driving a taxi, remaining unconscious to this day. The burden of the whole family fell on my shoulders. But before that, I was just another office worker earning $4,000 a month, constantly at the mercy of my boss's moods. The company even fired me for frequent hospital visits, citing unauthorized absences and work delays. Overnight, I became an outcast everyone avoided. Relatives and friends, I borrowed from all who would lend. Yet I couldn't even scrape together the overdue surgery fees for my father. Now my mother lies in the intensive care unit, waiting for a craniotomy. The nearly 20,000 yuan daily expenses are suffocating me. Helpless, I had no choice but to pin my hopes on striking it rich. I devoted myself to studying lottery numbers. For 2 whole months, I barely ate or slept properly, working odd jobs every day and barely scraping by on that meager income. When the hospital's payment reminders reached the point where my parents would be discharged if we didn't pay, I dared not answer calls or even show up at the hospital. Hoping against hope that the hospital might retain a shred of compassion when I'm not around, and not kick my parents out. So I made an excuse to invite Vanessa out for a stroll. The lottery results came out at midnight, but I'd been too afraid to check. Vanessa egged me on to pull it out and look immediately. Her eagerness made it seem like she was the one who'd bought the lottery ticket, not me. Under her urging, I took out my phone and carefully checked the winning numbers. That sequence of numbers I'd long memorized backwards, I didn't even need to take out the physical ticket to verify. Just one glance at the officially announced numbers told me I'd won. I screamed excitedly, hugging Vanessa tightly, "Vanessa! I won! I won the lottery!" But Vanessa's eyes lit up as she pushed me away, telling me to take out the lottery ticket and double-check the numbers. I also thought it was better to be cautious, so I took out the lottery ticket and clutched it in my palm, nervously checking the numbers over and over again. "It's true. It's true. I really won the lottery. Jessica, congratulations. I'm so happy for you." In that moment of joyful tears, I completely failed to notice Vanessa's cunning expression. Excitedly dragging her to the hospital, I told the doctors to prepare my mother's surgery immediately, promising I'd deliver the money that very evening. But when I shared this good news with my father that day and prepared to go cash the lottery ticket, I discovered the ticket was missing. I was overwhelmed with anxiety, yet couldn't reach Vanessa or Brandon no matter how hard I tried. It wasn't until the next day when I saw a news report about a lottery prize being claimed. Though the two people in the video were completely covered up, I recognized them instantly. It was Vanessa and Brandon. Meanwhile, my mother, due to the delayed surgery, suffered from compressed nerves caused by the bleeding and became comatose, never to wake up again. And my father, because of me, abandoned his treatment. His leg injury worsened from forced movement before healing properly, now facing amputation. Now everything has returned to the starting point. I squinted my eyes, desperately concealing my emotions. No, I didn't win. Not even one? Looking at Vanessa's ugly expression, I felt disgust churning in my heart. I won a $5 prize. The anticipation in Vanessa's eyes clearly turned into disdain. She subtly released her arm from mine and pretended to comfort me. It's okay, don't lose heart. There's still a chance. I nodded. Vanessa, I'm currently unemployed, the hospital has given me an ultimatum, and I didn't even win the lottery. Look, could you lend me $2,000? I'll pay you back once I get back on my feet. Vanessa's expression suddenly turned disdainful. Feigning helplessness, she said to me, Jessica, you know how it is with me. I don't have money either. My meager salary isn't even enough to cover my own expenses. How could I lend you anything? I still have work at the company, I should get going. Let's meet up another time. Just like in my previous life, the moment I mentioned borrowing money, she would lament her own hardships and then flee from me as if I were a poisonous snake. I spat in the direction where she had left as I watched her car drive away. Since fate has given me this second chance, I'll take the money, I'll protect my family, and those scumbags, they'll never get to climb the social ladder by stepping on mine and my family's bones again. Dad. Have you eaten yet? I've got great news to tell you. The moment I pushed open the hospital room door, I saw Brandon holding an apple and a small knife, smiling at me with that familiar grin. Jessica's here. What's the good news? Hurry up and tell me. His feigned enthusiasm and fake sincerity were the same act that had completely fooled me in my past life. But now I just feel disgusted. Without responding, I walked to the bedside and put down the lunchbox in my hand. Dad seemed to sense something and leaned in to whisper in my ear. What's wrong? Had a fight? That Brandon seems like a really good kid to me. No matter how you look at it, our family situation has been a burden on him. Yet he hasn't complained once, running around taking care of everything at the hospital. I know your temper, even if you two did argue, you should reflect on yourself. Dad. I wanted to say something, but Brandon chose that moment to hand me a peeled apple. Uncle, have an apple. Dad nodded with satisfaction and accepted it. Jessica, you mentioned having good news earlier. What is it? Brandon naturally picked another apple from the fruit basket as he spoke. Brandon, stop peeling now and take a break. It's all right, Uncle. This one's for Jessica. Dad suddenly hesitated, his gaze shifting between me and Brandon. I said indifferently, I don't like apples. Brandon looked visibly shocked and quickly put down the half-peeled apple. I'm sorry, Jessica. I thought you liked them since you used to eat them just fine. I didn't know. I laughed bitterly in my heart. The one who always loved apples was Vanessa. Yet in my past life, when Brandon brought home bags of apples and even peeled them for me, I had accepted them eagerly. Foolishly convinced that it was his way of showing love. But in reality, he had bought them for Vanessa, who scorned him for only knowing how to buy her apples and promptly walked away. Left with no choice, he had to carry the big bag of apples home. Hey! What's the big deal? Jessica likes pears, just peel another one for her. Dad tried to ease the tension. Hearing this, Brandon flusteredly grabbed another pear from the fruit basket. But I interrupted him, no need, I don't feel like eating now. Brandon's desolate expression appeared to outsiders as full of remorse and apology. Yet I could clearly see the loathing in his eyes. Dad, I wanted to tell you. The doctor told me recently that Mom's condition has stabilized a lot. But we still need to arrange the surgery as soon as possible, otherwise everything we're doing is just treating the symptoms rather than the root cause. Good. That's good. Any improvement is welcome. Dad's face lit up momentarily before his expression turned to worry and guilt as he looked at me. Jessica, your mother's surgery fees. Dad, don't worry, I'll handle it. Jessica, it's your mom and I who've held you back. Dad, don't say things like that. You're my parents, of course I'll take care of you. Besides, isn't Brandon still here? I crossed my arms and watched Brandon with amused interest. Yeah, don't you still have me here? I've got work at the company, my boss is pushing me to revise a proposal. I'll head out first. I watched with scorn as Brandon fled in panic, truly a perfect match for Vanessa, each as despicable as the other. Right now, Dad is just like how I was in my past life, utterly bewitched and led astray by this perfect son-in-law. I sighed, deciding not to expose their filthy deeds to Dad just yet. After settling my father, I went to see my mother's attending physician. Dr. Vincent. Jessica? Vincent put down his pen and quickly stood up to pour a glass of water. I've heard about your situation from the hospital. Don't worry, I'll do my best to buy some more time for you with the hospital. I looked at him, suddenly feeling my eyes grow moist. Vincent, a top graduate who studied abroad, my mother's attending physician. His care for my father was even more attentive than the father's attending physician. Not only did he pay out of his own pocket for many of my parents' medical and hospitalization expenses, he also went out of his way to secure the maximum hospital benefits and discounts for me. For this, he even offended the deputy dean and had this year's promotion eligibility revoked. Without him, my parents and I wouldn't have lasted until the day I won the lottery. My gratitude toward him is beyond words. Taking the water cup, I snapped out of my reminiscence and looked at him with heartfelt appreciation. No need, Vincent. I'm truly grateful for everything you've done during this time. Without you, our family would never have made it to this day. Vincent suddenly became flustered, sitting beside me and asking anxiously. Don't give up. There's still a chance. Is it a financial difficulty? Don't worry, I'll figure something out. If the hospital really won't make an exception, I'll advance the money for you first. I grabbed his arm. No need, really no need. Don't overthink it. You can pay me back when you have spare money later, it's all the same. Seeing his nervous and worried expression, I suddenly burst out laughing. If I didn't know better, I'd think you were my parents' son-in-law. The air froze for a moment. Noticing the blush rising on Vincent's face, I realized I'd said something inappropriate. Sorry about that, Vincent, I'll treat your parents as my own. With me here, you don't need to worry. Moved, I gazed at him. If possible, I truly wish he could be my boyfriend, but I don't dare hope for such a thing. I completely understand. A doctor's compassion is like that of a parent, it's your professional duty as a physician. I came today to tell you that we can schedule my mother's surgery now. Don't worry about the money, I've already raised the funds. Vincent suddenly grabbed my arm, and I could clearly see the concern in his eyes. Before he could speak, I quickly reassured him, don't worry. I didn't break any laws, the money came through legitimate channels. You really don't need to be concerned. I patted his hand and said, I'm going to withdraw the money now. By tonight I'll be able to repay what I owe you and the hospital. After closing the office door, Vincent muttered to himself, no, it's not about a doctor's compassion, and you don't need to repay my money. After leaving the hospital, I went back home first. When I opened the front door, a cloud of dust rushed at me, making me cough repeatedly. I hadn't been home for several months while taking care of my parents. The furnishings remained the same, only covered in a thin layer of dust. Seeing everything so familiar yet everything that happened with my parents felt like a lifetime ago. There was no time for sorrow or reminiscing. I rummaged through the closet for old, rarely worn clothes, then put on a mask, hat, and sunglasses. After one final check to ensure my lottery ticket, ID card, bank card, and all other necessary items were securely in place, I set off fully prepared to the redemption center. Fortunately, our province had its own high-value lottery redemption point, so there was no need to travel across provinces. With trembling hands, I presented my winning ticket and, under the flashing camera lights, received the redemption form, check, and tax receipt. When asked if I wanted to donate, I thought for a moment and decided to contribute $500,000 each to 20 families raising funds for critical illnesses. I also invested $10 million in 3 rural hospitals. Finally, at the bank, I paid $120 million in taxes and walked away with $469 million in hand. The moment I saw the string of zeros in my bank account balance, I felt the same overwhelming excitement as any other lottery winner. What thrilled me most was knowing my parents would finally be saved. They wouldn't have to struggle through their remaining years. My time to turn things around had come at last. The hospital payment queue stretched endlessly. Some wore fine clothes, but most were people with patched garments clutching wads of life-saving money in their hands. Next. When I finally reached the window, the clerk looked up at me with weary resignation. The billing staff recognized me. For months, I'd regularly engaged in verbal battles with these clerks, begging for just a few more days' grace period. Although every time I would argue with the medical staff at the payment counter, in reality, none of the overdue payments were ever settled. I knew she had no authority as a staff member, yet by chasing me away several times, she inadvertently bought me some extra time. Kindness exists everywhere in this world, even in the darkest moments, there's always a glimmer of hope to be found. Go home, I really can't extend the deadline. It's a notice from the higher-ups, there's nothing I can do. There are many people waiting behind you, so please don't hold up my work here. The staff member waved their hand and called for the next person. Unfazed, I handed over the payment slip, debt statement, and bank card. Hello, I'm here to pay the fees. The staff member, who had been motioning to the next person, paused in surprise, eyeing my bank card skeptically. Don't tell me there's no money again? I smiled. No need to worry. I'm paying off all the hospital debts accumulated over these past few months in one go. Thank you for your help during difficult times, I'm endlessly grateful. The staff member licked their lips but said nothing more. After carefully sorting through the debt statement and surgery fees, they spoke in a low voice. Bed 808 and ICU Bed 030, a total of $510,000 in treatment fees, medication fees, and nursing care costs. Your mother's surgery fee is $30,000, making it $540,000 in total. Would you like to make the payment now? I nodded, pay now. Also, prepay an additional $460,000 for treatment fees to round it up to an even million. Are you sure you want to proceed with payment? She reminded me. I simply nodded without speaking. When the prompt "Please enter your password" appeared at the window, I deftly keyed in the 6 digits. I clearly saw the worker's astonished expression, though it lasted only a moment. After deducting the payment, she returned the invoice and bank card to me. Thank you. You're welcome. I wish your parents a speedy recovery. Outside the ward door, before even entering, I could hear my father's hearty laughter. I pushed the door open. What's so funny? Why so happy? Looking up, I saw Vincent wearing a white lab coat with gold-rimmed glasses perched on the bridge of his nose. Jessica, you're back. Vincent was just asking me about your childhood, and I told him how you used to pee standing up like a boy, wet your pants, and then cry for your mom. In an instant, my face flushed crimson with embarrassment as I glared at my father. Why do you have to blab about everything? Vincent, I'm sure you have work to do. We won't keep you any longer. Vincent awkwardly scratched his head. Well then, I'll head back to the office now. I had just stepped out of the hospital room when Dad slapped me on the shoulder. What's the big deal? Vincent is practically family. Since when did you become so shy? We're complete strangers. How is that practically family? Strangers? He lived across the hall from us when you were little. have you forgotten? This left me utterly confused. I had absolutely no memory of who lived across from us during my childhood. Glancing down at the gift box in my hand, I suddenly remembered there was something I hadn't told Vincent yet. Dad, I'm going out for a bit. I'll be back soon. Pushing the door open, I strode toward Vincent's office. Knock knock knock. Come in. A crisp, pleasant male voice sounded from inside. I opened the door and began somewhat awkwardly, Vincent? Vincent looked up and saw me, slightly embarrassed. Jessica, have a seat. Let me get you some water. No need, no need. I quickly waved my hands. I mainly have something to tell you. I placed the gift box on his desk. This is premium coffee I bought. I remember you like drinking coffee. Vincent frowned and pushed the gift box back into my hands. I don't need it, I have plenty. You're in a special situation right now, don't spend this money on me. No, I insist. Also, you covered a lot of my medical expenses recently. Can you calculate how much it was? I'll pay you back. The moment these words were spoken, Vincent's fair complexion darkened visibly. I told you, there's no need to pay me back. Suddenly remembering what my father said in the hospital room, I asked curiously, did you live across from my family when you were little? A faint blush spread across Vincent's face, confirming the truth of his words. Even if we knew each other as children, that doesn't mean you shouldn't pay back the money. I pulled out a black pouch from my canvas bag. There's $100,000 inside. Though I don't know exactly how much you covered. Consider the extra as my gratitude, and if it's short, let it count toward our neighborly bond. I'd anticipated Vincent would refuse. But even after laying my cards on the table like this, he still kept pushing the pouch away, unwilling to accept it. He pressed me with a serious face, demanding to know where I got the money. Helpless, I had to tell him the truth. I bought a lottery ticket and won $600 million. Wait, seriously? See, I knew you wouldn't believe me. Grab your phone and check the news, there should be reports by now. I gestured toward Vincent's phone on the table with my chin. Skeptical but curious, he picked it up and started searching. His eyes kept darting between me and the screen in growing shock. Now do you believe it? All right. So you've been secretly striking it rich behind my back? I looked at him amused. How was it behind your back? Didn't I come to share the wealth with you? You're the one who refused it. In the end, after hesitating for another 2 seconds, Vincent finally took the black bag. The news of the lottery win had spread like wildfire overnight, quickly becoming a sensation across the internet. Vanessa came to find me while I was in the hospital room, wiping my father's body. Early in the morning, she barged in aggressively, disturbing the other patients and their families in the room. I was immediately confronted by 3 or 5 people who berated me relentlessly, forcing me to apologize humbly. Fortunately, my attitude was decent, and no one wanted to criticize me too harshly. Before long, the room quieted down again. Jessica, why didn't you speak up for me earlier? They all scolded me. I glanced at the pretentious Vanessa and continued wiping my father's arm. Why should I speak up for you? What they said was quite right. You barged in recklessly and disturbed the patient's rest. What could I possibly say in your defense? I could clearly sense Vanessa's fury, but before she could retort, Brandon rushed into the ward in a panic the very next second. Vanessa, don't. The unfinished words abruptly stopped when they saw me. Oh, came together, did you? I didn't even bother to lift my eyelids. Jessica, you today. Well, since you're here, help me take care of Dad. I'm going to check on Mom. I threw the handkerchief into the basin. Ignoring the two, I turned and headed to the ICU ward. The visiting hours for intensive care units are limited each day, with staggered time slots assigned to different patients. The ICU wasn't much different from regular wards, except for the maddeningly cold, incessant beeping of medical equipment. I sat beside my mother's bed, speaking softly to her unconscious form. Mom, guess what? I won the lottery. A huge amount too, $600 million. Though after taxes, I'll only get about 400 million. But even that's an astronomical sum to me. I've donated so much money. I must do more good deeds to receive blessings in return. Mom, we can schedule your surgery right away. You need to wake up soon. There's over $400 million waiting for you to spend. An hour passed quickly. Watching my mother grow thinner by the day, I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes and left the intensive care unit. Only my father remained in the hospital room. Dad, where's Brandon? Brandon said he forgot something in the car and went to get it with Vanessa. I curled the corners of my mouth. How long have they been gone? About an hour, I think. In my past life, it was also on this day that I discovered their affair. After learning the scumbag couple had stolen my lottery ticket, I furiously chased them all the way to Brandon's house. Only to find the two of them entangled in bed. This time around, they must have switched the venue to a car. I found a secluded spot in the parking lot and used my phone's zoom to clearly capture their disgusting acts inside the vehicle, making me nauseous. When I came to the hospital yesterday, I secretly planted a listening device in Brandon's car. Right now, their continuous panting is being recorded on my phone. Brandon, that bitch actually went behind our backs to cash in the lottery ticket. According to our plan, that ticket was supposed to be ours. Darling, don't worry, we'll find a way to deal with her. I don't care, I'm already pregnant. You must find a way to get back the money that belongs to us. Then dump that bitch and come propose to my family. Of course. Sweetheart, give me another kiss. With the evidence secured, I turned off the screen and left silently. Inside the elevator, I sent the audio recording to an unfamiliar email address with the message, "Does this voice sound familiar?" The weather today is exceptionally nice, and my mood is exceptionally good. After hiring another caregiver each for Dad and Mom and getting everything arranged, I made a phone call and headed to the largest car dealership in the province. As I got out of the car, a man in a suit with a badge on his chest was looking around. I walked up and greeted him. "Hello, are you the manager?" "Who are you?" "I'm the one who called earlier to schedule a test drive." The manager's hopeful expression instantly fell as he looked me up and down with disdain. He turned to call out to a young girl behind him, "Hey. You. Yes, you. Come handle this customer." As I walked away, I faintly heard him mutter, "Thought it was some rich second-generation big client. Turns out it's just a gold digger who came by taxi to mooch free services." I couldn't care less. Turns out when you have money, you really do look down on those salespeople and waitstaff who judge customers by their appearance. The young girl enthusiastically introduced various cars to me. From those costing millions to tens of millions, down to those priced at tens or hundreds of thousands, we looked at them all. Back when I was poor, I had no real concept of luxury cars. Now that I'm seeing them properly, they just seem a bit more dazzling, shiny, and attractive than regular cars. Finally, I bought a $9 million Rolls-Royce Cullinan. I remember Dad saying he liked that car, it'll make a perfect Father's Day gift for him. I also bought a large SUV for myself as a daily driver. When the deals were finalized, both the young salesgirl and the previous manager stared with their eyes wide open. The manager shamelessly leaned in and said the newbie didn't understand the transaction process, offering to escort me himself. How laughable. Since when does some small fry get to decide whether to take or reject my money as he pleases? I sat silently on the leather sofa, legs crossed, and pointed at the young woman standing behind the manager. I like this girl here. Even if her professional skills aren't perfect, I want her to serve me. The manager's face grew darker and darker, his eyes widening repeatedly. The young girl was practically floating with joy, tugging at my sleeve while thanking me profusely. Hiss, turns out feeling like a nouveau riche is so damn satisfying. Just as I was signing the contract, my phone notification chimed. It was an email reply. "Who are you? Why should I believe you?" I chuckled softly and typed a text-only reply. "Perhaps you haven't realized yet that you're about to raise someone else's child?" The contract was signed, and the email was successfully sent. These past few months, my mood has rarely been this euphoric. 3 days later, Mom's surgery was successfully completed. My anxious heart finally settled. Vincent said that, barring any complications, Mom would wake up within a week. I grabbed his hand and thanked him repeatedly. During this time, neither Vanessa nor Brandon showed up at the hospital again, which unexpectedly gave me a few days of peace. On the day Mom woke up, I transferred both my parents to a VIP double room. After 5 long months, our family was finally reunited. All the heartache and suffering transformed into long-lost happiness in that moment. Dad held my hand and said, "When your mom and I are discharged from the hospital, find time to invite Brandon and his parents over. Let our 2 families discuss your wedding plans. That boy Brandon has had it tough too." Mom immediately darkened her face and, disregarding her freshly healed wounds, angrily scolded Dad, "Have you gone senile? You're actually pushing our daughter into the fire with all your might." Dad felt wronged but didn't dare provoke Mom further. How could I? You're wronging me." Watching Dad and Mom argue back and forth, just like in the old days in that tiny 2-bedroom apartment, I suddenly burst out laughing. Dad looked at me as if grasping at straws, pleading, "Jessica, say something. What does that laugh mean?" I unhurriedly opened my phone and projected the edited video and audio onto the TV screen. Though heavily pixelated, the video still clearly showed the disgraceful acts committed by its 2 protagonists. This is Brandon and Vanessa?" Dad pointed at the TV in disbelief. I turned off my phone and said indifferently, "Yes, it's them. They've been involved for half a year already." Dad stammered, trying to comfort me, but I flashed a smile, "I'm fine. A scumbag man and a bitchy woman, they're perfect for each other. How could I not let them be together?" The ward door creaked open. Vincent walked in gracefully, wearing gold-rimmed glasses and a white lab coat, exuding scholarly gentleness. "How are you feeling today?" "I've applied with the hospital administration, and from now on I'll be your attending physician." Dad's expression, originally filled with sorrow, regret, and resentment, suddenly took on a calculating look the moment he saw Vincent. "Vincent! You're here. Come sit, come sit. We have fruits, would you like some? We're so grateful for everything you've done recently, I don't even know how to thank you properly." Dad kept chattering away while pulling Vincent by the arm. Vincent was caught off guard by this sudden enthusiasm and turned to give me a puzzled look. I shrugged and said, "Don't look at me, I don't know, and I can't save you either." I turned to ask Mom, "How did you know about that business between Brandon and Vanessa?" Tears welled up in Mom's eyes as she looked at me, "My dear. You've suffered so much. I heard everything you said to me in the hospital room. I just hate that I couldn't get up and tear those scumbags apart for you." I glanced at Vincent, originally wanting to confirm with him whether patients in a coma could hear sounds from the outside world. To my surprise, he was looking at me too, his face full of concern. "Did Brandon bully you? Did he make you suffer?" My parents' scorching gazes landed on both of us. Caught between a rock and a hard place, I awkwardly tried to laugh it off. "He's absolute trash, totally unworthy of you. Jessica, break up with him, you deserve so much better." As I looked at Vincent's handsome face, his words suddenly made my heart pound uncontrollably in my chest. THTH that. I've got something to deal with, excuse me." I fled the scene as if running for my life. Outside the hospital, I covered my burning cheeks and shook my head repeatedly, "There's no way he likes you. Get a grip, Jessica." My phone suddenly vibrated. It was the alert that the listening device had successfully recorded. When I opened it, the first thing I heard was Vanessa's voice, "Brandon, I can't take it anymore. Hurry up and deal with that Jessica woman. Get the money. If we drag this out any longer, I can't guarantee my mom will still approve of us being together." "Vanessa. Don't worry, I've already figured out a solution. In a few days, find an excuse to meet Jessica at a place without surveillance cameras, preferably where there aren't even any people around. She only has one bank card, and knowing her, she'll definitely carry it with her. Even if she doesn't have it on her, I bought her a high-value insurance policy. We just need to create a little accident that no one will know about. At worst, we'll still get the insurance money. Then I'll go sweet-talk her parents and get them to hand over the bank card. Everything will fall right into place. Quite the well-laid plan indeed. Only perhaps, your plans are about to fall apart. 3 days later, I indeed received a call from Vanessa. She said she had rented a homestay for a party and invited me to join the gathering. Suddenly, I remembered the day I died in my previous life. It was also after receiving an invitation call from Vanessa. I had gone cheerfully, only to find out it was a trap. The homestay had knockout incense and 3 men. I noticed something was wrong just before entering and turned to run. But Vanessa and Brandon blocked me from another unit on the same floor. Since the house was privately built, there were no surveillance cameras or any similar facilities. Vanessa and Brandon led me to the rooftop, and when I had nowhere left to retreat, Vanessa violently pushed me off the high building. In the last second, her distorted face twisted with glee as she sneered, "Why did you win the lottery instead of me? Now that you're dead, everything will be mine." So in my past life, they had planned to steal the lottery ticket from me while squeezing out every last benefit from insurance fraud. I firmly agreed, "All right. I'll be there on time." Then I sent the initial video email to that contact. "If you don't believe it, then go investigate for yourself tonight at 918 Maple Lane, 6th floor, Unit 602. After hanging up the phone, I went to 918 Maple Lane, Unit 602. Using Vanessa's name, phone number, and ID card to contact the landlord, I successfully obtained the door code under the pretext of extending the rental for 1 more day. I bought the same brand of knockout drug and placed it on top of the air conditioner. No one would ever think to look for something hidden there. Then I went and bought a telescope, checking into a hotel across the street with the clearest view of room 602. That night, through the telescope, I clearly saw Vanessa and Brandon, completely naked, being dragged out by a group of people. Brandon curled up on the ground, covering his head as the others kicked and stomped on him. One man in particular aimed his kicks at Brandon's crotch. Vanessa knelt naked before a man in a tailored suit, pleading desperately. Not knowing what was said, Vanessa crawled on her knees and clung to the man's leg. The man, however, frowned, lifted his foot, and kicked Vanessa away. This kick was no small matter, it sent her tumbling straight down the stairs. I could barely see through the building's window as Vanessa lay on the floor below, clutching her stomach in a pool of blood. The man simply dusted off his foot without a hint of emotion. He looked down at Vanessa from his lofty position, muttered something inaudible, then turned and walked away. The last one to leave made a phone call that lasted just a few seconds before jogging to catch up with the man. Exactly 3 minutes later, I heard the approaching siren of an ambulance. Medical staff loaded 2 bleeding individuals with varying degrees of injuries onto the vehicle. When I went to the hospital that evening, I could still hear the whispered gossip among the staff. "Hey, did you hear? This afternoon the hospital admitted 2 patients. TSK, what a sight they were. Completely naked, barely clinging to life. Looked exactly like they'd been caught in the act." I heard. When that woman came in, I saw it clear as day. Her neck and chest were covered in red marks. They say that woman was even pregnant. Who knows who the father is? I hummed a tune as I returned to the hospital room. When I opened the door, Vincent was actually chatting with my dad again, both laughing heartily. Even my mom was grinning from ear to ear on the side. Probably gossiping about my embarrassing stories again. "Hey, our daughter's back. You two better stop talking now. When both of you get beaten later, I won't be able to protect you." Vincent turned and saw me, unable to suppress the corner of his mouth from curling up. "Jessica, I never expected you had so many secrets I didn't know about." I was just about to vent when a commotion erupted outside the hospital. Then Vanessa burst in, her face deathly pale. "Jessica. It was you. You're the one who exposed me on purpose." I crossed my arms and watched her leisurely. "Vanessa, what are you talking about? I don't understand a word you're saying. Vincent frowned and reprimanded in a deep voice, "This is a hospital. We won't tolerate your shouting. Get her out of here." I watched as Vanessa flailed wildly while being dragged out, then stepped out to enjoy the show, taking out my phone to start recording. "Vanessa, you look absolutely ridiculous like this." "Jessica. Don't think I don't know it was you. Why didn't you go today?" I pretended to be innocent and said, "What do you mean where?" "Oh, I remember. You invited me to the party, right?" "Sorry, Vanessa, I forgot to tell you. I went to the dealership today to pay the final installment. The Rolls-Royce I bought for my dad arrived, and I had to go pay the balance." Vanessa glared at me with gritted teeth, her eyes bloodshot. "Jessica. You bitch." This scene, captured on my phone, looked utterly absurd. But the moment I put my phone away, Jessica suddenly lunged at me. Behind me was the fire exit. But not only did I not dodge, I even took step after step backward. Just as I reached the edge of the stairs, Vincent shouted loudly at me, "Jessica. Watch out." Vanessa lunged at me like a deranged zombie, but I sidestepped her attack effortlessly. But due to the excessive momentum and lack of support, she was sent hurtling straight toward the stairs. The medical staff rushed anxiously to perform CPR on Vanessa, while Vincent held me tightly in his arms, his strong heartbeat thundering thump 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 in my ear. "Jessica, you scared me to death. I thought something terrible was going to happen to you." Thank goodness, thank goodness." An inexplicable emotion swelled infinitely in my heart. It wasn't until the medical staff carried Vanessa past me that I pushed Vincent away and hurried back to the hospital room in unnatural haste. Vanessa was successfully revived. Though her life was saved, she became vegetative. Vanessa's family came to the hospital making a scene, demanding the hospital take responsibility, even going so far as to sue the hospital in court. Some kind soul had posted online the video of Vanessa being carried naked into the hospital and lunging at me, sparking a massive wave of attention. Countless people took to ridiculing and hurling abuse at Vanessa. In the end, the hospital won the lawsuit. Not only was Vanessa left completely paralyzed, but she also became public enemy number one. Whenever her parents showed up at the hospital, they were inevitably met with curses and spit from the crowd. The medical staff would half-heartedly intervene, only to claim they were too busy and wash their hands of the matter. Her parents had originally hoped to milk the hospital for money through Vanessa. But now, not only had they failed to get a cent, they were also stuck footing Vanessa's mounting medical bills. The two elderly people were so angry that they completed the discharge procedures and terminated Vanessa's treatment. And the good news didn't stop there. Because Brandon's lower body was severely injured and he arrived at the hospital too late, his genitals had to be removed. Though it must be said, the doctors were highly skilled and merciful. They left him with a small remnant, just enough to qualify him as a plain and simple eunuch. A month later, my father was discharged from the hospital. I blindfolded him and took him to see the first grand gift I had prepared for him. Overwhelmed with emotion, he wept as he hugged the car hood, wiping away his tears. "Touched already? Come on, let me show you your discharge gift." "Discharge gift? There's actually a discharge gift?" I glanced back at Vincent, who was on leave, and tossed him the car keys. "Vincent, the rich lady is treating you to a luxury car experience for the day." Vincent looked at the car keys in his hand. So did the rich lady fail her driver's license test? Talking about my past made me blush, and I nudged Dad into the car. "Stop the chit-chat and let's go." "That's right, I didn't get my driver's license. I failed the test 6 times and still didn't pass." In a fit of rage, I raged for a moment, then simply gave up on learning to drive. Dad's leg had just recovered, so he couldn't drive. Thus, this task fell upon Vincent's shoulders. The navigation ended with the car stopping at the largest villa district in the province. Dad stammered in shock, "WW what? Is this really your gift for my hospital discharge? You didn't buy a villa, did you?" I nodded proudly. "Good Lord. You've made it. Even an old man like me with one foot in the grave gets to enjoy his daughter's fortune. How much did it cost? Whose name is it under? Not much, just $50 million. As for the name, I suddenly became hesitant and avoided my dad's gaze. It's under Mom's name. Fine, fine. So much for calling it a gift for my discharge, turns out it's really for your mother. I crossed my arms and said indignantly, don't tell me you're not going to live here? How can it not count as a homecoming gift? Only after you settle into this house properly can we bring Mom here. Dad kept shaking his head. I can't believe I'm not number one in my daughter's heart anymore. On the day Mom was discharged from the hospital, she cried her eyes out when she saw the entire villa. It wasn't the villa itself that moved her to tears, but the fact that I had built an entire floor dedicated to a dance studio, complete with a large stage. In her youth, Mom had been the star dancer of her troupe. But because she was too slender, she had trouble conceiving for the longest time. Forced to give up her career and dreams, she devoted herself entirely to preparing for pregnancy at home. The dancer's most prized figure became plump, her waistline distorted, her body grew cumbersome, she could no longer rise on her toes. After my birth, she rejected the dance troupe's invitations to focus entirely on caring for me. Half her life became bound to me. Everything was solely for my sake. Mom, I know your youthful dream was dancing. I'm so sorry my birth became an anchor dragging down your pursuit of dreams. But it's all right, from now on you can reclaim yourself. You must first be yourself, only then a wife and mother. I'll always be your support. Mom held me tightly, her voice choked with sobs. No, no. Because of you, my life has become so much happier. And because of you, I became a great mother. Including Vincent, all four of them were deeply moved by the emotion. After calming down, Mom patted my hand and said, "Sweetheart, there's one last task Mom hasn't completed yet." Wiping my tears, I asked very seriously, "Mom, tell me, whatever I can do, I'll go through fire and water without hesitation." Mom chuckled softly, "No need to go through fire and water. Just get married." Her eyes darted between me and Vincent. "Mom's final task is your wedding." My shocked and awkward gaze shifted between Mom and Vincent. Mom. I'm still too young." "Young what young? You're not young anymore. Mom just hopes to personally dress you in a beautiful wedding gown in her lifetime, and send you off to a happy future." I feel like I should refuse, but for some reason, an inexplicable urge makes me reluctant to say no. Suddenly, Vincent pulled something out of his bag, knelt on one knee, his face flushed, stammering incoherently. "Jessica. I. He struggled to get the words out for a long moment before simply opening the box with both hands, presenting a diamond ring the size of a pigeon's egg before my eyes. "Marry me, Jessica. I'll be good to you for the rest of my life. I've liked you for 16 years. 16 years? Such niche phrasing. Encouraged by my parents, I shyly accepted his diamond ring. Yet I still couldn't resist teasing, proposing so hastily, "I'll reluctantly forgive you." But marriage? Not so fast. Fine. It's a promise. And so, 6 months later, I got married. Vincent gave my parents $2 million in bride price. He gave me the grandest wedding imaginable. I asked him, "Your family is that rich? Then why did you live in such a shabby house when you were little?" Vincent smiled and said, "Is it possible that the developer of that shabby house was our dad? Damn. They kept me in the dark for so long. If I'd known about this shortcut earlier, why would I have bothered scheming for lottery tickets? I should have just schemed for insider knowledge." I raised my hand, gazing contentedly at the pigeon egg-sized diamond ring on my finger with a satisfied smile. Fine. This works too. Life easy as pie.